Hello again, loved ones. This is Matt Stevens, and as always, I hope that you are doing super fantastic. And okay, well, I had made an outline of some things I wanted to talk about, and it's like I began with the question of what is really real anyway? Because, yeah, I talk about the nature of reality, and I refer to this reality or that reality and all of that. And it's like, but what is real, right? I mean, most people will tell you that what we experience with the five senses, that's real. Like, well, I mean, it's real while we're immersed in this physical 3D reality where we use the five senses. But what about when you're in a different reality or a different realm, right? I mean, people who have done ayahuasca ceremonies or even DMT, they will tell you that they are in another reality, in another realm. Now, the materialists, they will say, you're just hallucinating, dude. It's like, okay, that's a fair argument. I mean, that's okay, fine. However, the problem with that argument is that you will have people who are separated by, by separated by decades, for one, also separated by vast distances. So you can have somebody who is on one side of the world, somebody who else is on the complete opposite side of the world, have never communicated, could never communicate, because they're separated also by decades. But they report back the same thing. They interact with the same entities. They experience the same landscapes, things like that. And it's to the point now where they are doing extended state experiments, keeping people in an extended DMT state for the purpose of mapping that realm. Because the same landscapes, the same lots of things have been experienced over and over by so many different people who are not connected. So if it was just an illusion, a hallucination in your brain, you would not have so many cases of people experiencing the exact same things. There have been cases where people have experienced each other. People that didn't know each other and later found out that that was you? Oh, wow, cool. Anyway, yes, that is fascinating. And what that tells you is that that state, that is a reality unto itself. Just like our dream state. When we're in the dream state, most people say, well, that's just your brain firing random dreams or thoughts or whatever you want to call it. All right. However, when you're in that state, that is your perceived reality. When you're in that state, it seems very, very real. When you come out of that state, when you wake from the dream, that's when it might seem a little strange, right? It was a little etheric or something, right? It'll seem like, well, that was not like this. That's why it was weird. But while I was in that, it seemed very real. OBE is another one. When somebody has an out of body experience, the realm that they go to, you're fully immersed in it, and it seems very, very real then because it's what you're perceiving. Now, there's no difference between that and this. This physical realm we are currently immersed in. So we are currently perceiving with our five senses. That's why this seems so real now. I got to believe once we pass away and we look back on this experience, it'll probably seem weird, like that strange dream did. It's like it felt everything was so real while I was in that state, while I was immersed in it and perceiving. That was my state of perception or my point of perception, I suppose. But now that I'm not, I'm looking back on it. It's like, dude, that was crazy. That was kind of weird. And at that point, you may be in some other state that seems very real. I have an incense stick burning over here, so if you see some smoke waft by, don't think anything of it. And the air conditioner is blowing, so if you see something, I just saw something zip by my screen. I was like, "Man, that was most likely to do with the air conditioner." But we have caught some things on camera here, though. But there's actually, it's on the it's somewhere back in my videos if you want to see it. Anyway, so it's just where you are, what you are immersed in is what your perception is currently. See, materialists will argue that this is real, right? They'll argue that this is real because it is what we are able to experience with our five senses. It's the only thing we can really put our hands on. It's tangible, right? So anything in mind is imagined or hallucinated or whatever. But even physicality, dear loved one, breaks down when you zoom in on the micro. Like this desk seems very real. It's very rigid, right? So materialists will say, well, you know that's real. Why? Because you can touch it. It's there. It's physical. Except when we begin to zoom in on it. Let's say, I don't know how many atoms it takes to make up this desk, but a lot. So if we zoom in and we begin to see the atoms that make up this desk, we will see atoms sitting side by side, lined up or whatever. It's like, well, there they are. They are building blocks of matter. They are building this desk from one atom at a time, just sitting side by side, right? They look as if they have form. They look as if they have a shell around them. So let's zoom in a little more. So when we zoom in more, we realize that shell, it's not really a physical shell. It's more like a electromagnetic field, dear loved one, electromagnetic field that is the boundary of that atom. I guess if we kind of isolate two atoms, we got two, and that's what keeps them from sliding in together, I guess. It's because you got two, and they appear to have a shell around them until you zoom in, and then the shell disappears, and now you're inside the atom. It's like, so now I'm inside the electromagnetic field that appears to be, from the outside, look like it was a shell of this thing. And it's like, well, there's a nucleus. Surely there's something physical there. That's what's creating this electromagnetic field, I would assume. Wouldn't you assume, right? Maybe the electrons zipping around, they've got something to do with it, I'm sure. So you zoom in on that nucleus, you're like, well, at least now we found something solid. Finally, can prove our point. So you zoom in on that nucleus, and then eventually you realize, where'd the nucleus go? Now that I am right up immersed in it, now that I'm in the nucleus, or right upon it, it has kind of gone away. All it really is just an oscillating field of energy. It's just an oscillating point. That's just an oscillating field of energy. It's not physical. There's no really there. Right? So these atoms, now we can zoom back out a little bit more. These atoms are just kind of sitting there, linked together, building blocks of matter, as they say. But we just realized there's nothing really there. It's just a field of energy. So that's why I say that whole building blocks of matter, whatever that thing, it breaks down when we zoom in on it to the micro scale. So, by the way, dear loved ones, if you have not yet, please click the like button on this video. That would be much appreciated. And also subscribe to this channel. That'd be fantastic too. I really appreciate it. And if you would like to add to this, please do. It would be fantastic. I mean, yes, I'm soliciting comments because it does help the algorithm to let this video reach more people. Of course, I want it to reach more people. I'm not going to sit here and act like I don't care if I get views. Of course, I want views. Now, it's not the only thing I do this for. I do this just because I love doing this. But, right? I mean, of course. The conversations that I've had since doing these things been fantastic. So, yes, of course. Anyway, so, but it's like, besides, okay, whether it's the physical, whether it's the astral, whether it's the spiritual realm, whether it's the mental, whatever the case may be, all of these different, the DMT realm, all these realms, okay, fine. Where do they exist? It's like there's got to be a place. Where do they exist? Is there a bubble that they all exist in, and that's our reality, that's our universe, and maybe there's infinite numbers of bubbles? Maybe. But it's like, here's the one thing that I know. I've said this before. The only thing I can be certain exists is mind. Why? Because I am mind. I'm thinking. I am having thoughts. I have a mind. But I also know that this physical reality only seems real when I am in it. When I'm in a dream state, that seems real. When I'm in an OBE or an NDE state, which I have been in, I had a very traumatic thing. In fact, the paramedics working on me were like, well, can't save them all, and they were letting me go. But somehow or other, anyway, when I was in that state, I was in what I would call the quantum field. Seemed very real at the time. Of course, when I thought about it after the fact, it was like it was just nothing. I'll get into that at another time. But it's like, where does this exist? Well, it exists in mind. Somebody's dreaming it up. The dreamer, the universal consciousness, God, had the I am moment. Right? It's like, that's who or what manifested everything. And I usually say that I don't usually say it, but it's easy to say that, well, there may be infinite layers of reality then. It's like there's that one, and then there's one under that, and then that, and then that. And then now you're manifesting some reality, and true. But I can't say there's necessarily an infinite number, because if we do peel it all the way back, eventually we do get back to that I am moment, that universal consciousness. God. But then, some people might be appalled, call me a blasphemer or something, but whatever. But then it's like, well, yeah, but that I am moment, that mind, who created that one, right? Maybe that came from somewhere. It's like, true, that may have. So it's like, what manifested all of this? It all exists in mind. And you perceive what you perceive based on the state, based on what you are immersed in that moment. Be it astral, physical, dream, whatever. So the materialists, the people who are really big on science, they'll say that I'm full of it. All this is just imagination. They'll say that the universe happened from the Big Bang, and expansion happened, and then chemical processes happened, and everything formed, and the universe began to cool, and because of chemical processes, life just sprang forth. And now our consciousness, it originates in the brain. They'll say that it originates in the brain, and that the what seems to be the expansion of consciousness, when we expand our consciousness, when we expand our awareness, that's just our mind playing tricks on us. That's just, it appears to be that way, but the consciousness resides or originates in and resides in the brain, right? I'm like, well, I don't agree with that. Like, getting back to the DMT thing, like your pineal gland, or your also known as your third eye, right in the middle of your brain. That is what appears to be your antenna to your higher self. Your higher self, your true mind outside of that, jacked into this body so that you can be immersed in this realm, in this environment. The pineal gland naturally produces DMT. Now, obviously not at that quantity. But that is your antenna to your higher self. And I can get into some conspiracy theory as to, like, for example, fluoride in the water. Why do they do that? Because it calcifies your pineal gland, makes it a lot less effective, which would then make your connection to your higher self on the outside not so great. So you couldn't discover your true self, your true power. That's getting off into the conspiracy theory behind the calcification of pineal gland. And I will definitely go there, and it's very compelling. But so the materialists, getting back to this, they will tell you that the Big Bang happened, that everything came from a singularity, right? That everything that exists was condensed, compressed into this one tiny little point, and then bang, it happened, and everything that exists burst forth out of this one little point, right? It's like, yeah, but who put that point there? It's like, well, nobody did. It's like, well, so you're saying that everything came from nothing. It's like, no, we're saying everything came from that very condensed, infinitely dense point. It's like, point in where? Point of what? Right? So they want you to just give them that one, right? And I've mentioned this in a previous video. It's like they want you to just give me this. Give me the Big Bang Theory, and I can explain everything else. No problem. If you give me that one, let's just assume the Big Bang happened, and after that, I can explain expansion, I can explain life, everything. I can explain life, I can explain consciousness, I can explain, you name it, we got it. I'm like, yeah, you probably can. Except, I can't give you that. I can't give you, we can't just go into assuming the Big Bang happened. Unless you want to say it was universal consciousness, God, having the big I am awakening moment when it sprang forth and said, I exist, I am. It awoke. And there's your Big Bang. And everything began creating in its infinite mind with its infinite imagination. If you want to go there, sure. But no, they're like, no. The physical Big Bang, give me that. And I will explain everything else away. And I'm like, I can't do that. That's giving you the golden ticket. Right? Because that doesn't make any sense. It's like that, what began, or what was before that. And then some of them will say, well, everything expanded from a Big Bang and then contracted into the singularity again and then bang again, that this has been going on forever. But forever doesn't really fit. Something had to manifest it. Something had to spring this thing into action, into life. Something had to focus its awareness on this. Otherwise, it wouldn't be here. So, that's what reality, what really is real is to me. What are you focused on? What are you immersed in? What are you perceiving currently? That is your current reality. But there are many, many realities. There are many, many states. Once you jack out of the one, you jack into another. I got to believe once we pass away from this life and we are in another, and we're in whatever you go to onto your next adventure, if you were able to look back on this experience, you may think, wow, that was really strange. But when I was in that state, it seemed so real. It was physical. There was hard matter that existed there. It's just nuts. So, anyway, loved ones, I'm going to try to cut this off right here. But please remember to give me a like on this video, comment, and subscribe. And that's what I got for you. I do love you. I do. And I will be back directly.